Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the greatest recordings ever. Well, we've done some basic repertoire now. We've done a little bit off the beaten path repertoire, and now we're going to be doing a little more off the beaten path repertoire, and particularly, well, we have to get into this because some of the greatest recordings ever were made by this guy. Marc-André Hamelin, a fabulous Canadian pianist who really was the Tiger Woods of the piano. In other words, he just sort of raised the level of what piano virtuosity ought to be. And he did it with recordings of Alcon and the Charles Ives Concord Sonata before he got to the Hyperion label. But then this thing showed up toward the beginning of his Hyperion career, the Godowsky Complete Studies on Chopin Etudes. Now, Leopold Godowsky lived from 1870 to 1938. He was a piano virtuoso. He was a virtuoso's virtuoso and a composer who wrote like, well, let's put it this way. He was like Sarabji with talent. In other words, he wrote very, very difficult, complex, extended, quite often, piano works, and the studies on Chopin's etudes are really connoisseurs' works. I mean, they're etudes about etudes, right? The Chopin etudes are studies, each one of which is supposed to embody one specific aspect of piano technique. Other etudes, like Liszt's Transcendental Etudes or the Alcon, 20, or, etudes in all the minor keys, not 20 anything, all the etudes in all the minor keys, they simultaneously exploit keyboard virtuosity in various ways. But Chopin's were quite systematic. And what Godowsky did is he took these Chopin etudes and he updated them for the modern virtuoso. And he did it by combining them where you play some of them simultaneously and extending and expanding and enriching and adding all kinds of harmonic doodads and whatchamacallits, and it really they are extraordinary pieces in a more modern pianistic idiom. And if you know the Chopin originals, they're kind of extraordinary, to hear what he does with them. Anyway, there are how many of these suckers are there? What is this, like zillions of them? There are, hold it, I'm going to tell you, there are 2 discs in here, and you get, I think there were like 53 of them or something, 47, 48. Yeah, 48, pardon me. No, there are 53. Thank you. I am not, because some of them have, number 15, number 15A. That's right. But there are 53 of them. I can't believe I remembered that. And let's see, introductory remarks from Leopold Godowsky's preface to his studies on Chopin etudes, and special remarks on studies for the left hand alone. And this is crazy stuff. The 53 studies based upon 26 etudes of Chopin have manifold purposes. Their aim is to develop the mechanical, technical, and musical possibilities of pianoforte playing, to expand the peculiarly adapted nature of the instrument to polyphonic, polyrhythmic, and polydynamic work, and to widen the range of its possibilities in tone coloring, etc., etc. Let's keep going. The unusual mental and physical demands made upon the performer by the above-mentioned work must immediately lend to a much higher proficiency in the command of the instrument, while the composer for the piano will find a number of suggestions regarding the treatment of the instrument and its musical utterance in general. Special attention must be drawn to the fact that, owing to innumerable contrapuntal devices, which frequently encompass almost the whole range of the keyboard, the fingering and pedaling are often of a revolutionary character, particularly in the 22 studies for the left hand alone. Right? So these pieces were sort of like a pianistic Parnassus. People were, they had legendary status. And Hamelin himself actually recorded a couple of them, I think, in an earlier CBC recording from his youth. But when he came out and did these, other people had done them. Nobody played them like he did. because he played them like music, and he played them as if the technical difficulties simply vanished, and you could focus on, Godowsky's own ingenuity in the arrangements. And that was, of course, the point. The idea is not to sound like you're slogging through an etude. The point is to make music out of it. And that's what Hamelin does. And that's what he did with everything when he did all kinds of unusual repertoire. And he's going to pop up in this series in future, too. I guarantee it, because his recordings are just extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. And the wonderful thing about this, quite frankly, talking about the greatest recordings ever, is that a lot of them are going to be new, recent. Yes, it's not all just, historical golden age stuff with creaky sonics and bitching and moaning about how, the greatness is gone and the wonderfulness is not as wonderful as it used to be. And it's all bullshit. There is immense talent out there, and a lot of that immense talent is getting recorded, and a lot of it is making some of the greatest recordings ever. And this is certainly one. I think everybody will probably agree. I mean, it was an earthquake, pianistically speaking, and the beginning of what I think is possibly the most important and exciting pianistic legacy in the entire second half or second last quarter of the 20th century, beginning of the 21st. Someday, whoever owns the rights to these recordings is going to make a Marc-André Hamelin box, and that box is going to be something special. Hopefully it's far in the future, because Hamelin's still with us and making records. But wow, there's going to be some amazing stuff in there. I guarantee it. Anyway, this is something that you've got to hear. And, wow, just really special. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.